And why are you really here?
Because I missed you. Come on. Clockworks. Remember? David and Lenny. The good old times. We were like white on rice.
What's up, everybody? We're back again for another breakdown of Legion. This is episode 5, chapter 13.
Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we have a ton of Infinity War videos right now on the channel, as well as we're breaking down Westworld Season 2. Also, make fun of Greg because he's only seen Infinity War one time.
Ryan, I don't feel so good.
Apparently, on Legion.
I'm dead. You killed me. You killed me.
I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Well, okay, right from the top. All right, John Hamm's already screwing with us, apparently on Legion. Okay, cool.
I like that little touch. And Noah Hawley's done this before on Fargo.
Erstwhile on Fargo.
You know, it all comes back to this theme of an unreliable narrator. John Hamm in this case, David, his perspective,
Yes.
we can't really trust him or what he's seeing or what he's going through. So it just makes sense for a show that is totally just blowing our minds and a total mind f*** to literally tell us off the top that this may or may not have happened.
Don't believe what you see on screen just yet. Okay, so this episode picks right up where the last episode left off. Lenny's back, but we're trying to figure out where she came from, what body is she in, a lot of stuff like that right off the get-go.
And why is she in Division 3? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of interrogating going on at Division 3. And then the other setting is Oliver with Amal Farouk, and they're looking for his body, so we think.
Yeah, right at the top we're thinking, okay, they're going for his body. They found it somehow. We don't know how exactly just yet. But it's not exactly where they were going with this episode.
Some digging required, but the reward is sunrise like you have never seen. Unreal.
And that whole thing with Farouk and Oliver, that reminded me a lot of Lost. Some people will remember this, the final few seasons. It was Jacob and the Man in Black.
Right.
Their interactions with each other, these two godlike figures, just like we see in Legion, these two godlike, or they think they're gods, they're just mutants, but they have the same interactions and conversations.
Do you have any idea how badly I want to kill you?
Yes.
One of these days, sooner or later.
All right, so let's talk about those interrogations, starting off with Clark's interrogation of Lenny back at Division 3.
Okay, so that ceiling right from the top, I was like, what is going on? The upside down lettering, and they flip it. Noah Hawley's doing an incredible job with set design this season. It's insane.
And it comes back to, you know, just reality bending moments of this show, whether it's a narration or how it looks or what our characters are going through. We really can't trust what is real and what is fake, and that's the whole point of the show. So we get a lot of backstory on Lenny, the person, not just the personality that was living inside the Shadow King or in David.
A little bit of exposition, the way she's throwing it out there, but the way they're doing it, it keeps me like, what's going next? What's happening next? I'm still on the edge of my couch trying to figure out what's going on with Lenny. Is this a trap? Obviously, we find out, yes, it kind of sort of is a trap of what's going on here, but we'll get back to that later.
And you believe that all that stuff really did happen to her with her grandmother?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was kind of the downfall and what led Lenny down into this pattern of abuse and addiction and led her into Clockworks.
Yeah, I think Lenny's, knock on wood, I hope that Lenny's going to be around for a while and they're setting this up for this character. They're giving us some redeeming factors of this character to set her up for Shadow King's final downfall.
Poor old Lenny, whose gran got her drunk when she was 9. And then bam, she was just pulled into some crazy shit.
Are you clear?
I was dropped inside of a wall.
And then you talk about set design, but not only that, all the small little details, the props, the things that they use in the interrogation room, the sampling of the blood, the checks that you're doing to make sure someone's mentally healthy and who they say they are. Yeah. I mean, it was across the board very, very creative and fun to watch.
Yeah, the cards, every single one of them, there's nothing on the card. Then the next card, it's him holding a card. Just it just to scramble Lenny's brain, but it didn't work. It's like, she's real. It's her.
She's telling the truth. We think so.
Man, I'm just here to help, okay? I was a hostage, right?
All right, then it's Patonymi's turn in the interrogation room with Lenny. And he has like some shower thoughts about the past, present, and future. And basically that, you know, by the time you're reading my lips right now and hearing this, it's already been the past and there is no present at all.
Pretty sure everyone's had this conversation to their own selves in their minds when they're on the bus or something. Just like, wait, where am I right now? Is this really happening? Am I going to work right now? And then you just sit down on the bus and I have a nosebleed. Yeah, and that's.
And then you're late to work, and then yeah.
And one last thing on Patonymy. So let's go back to delusion now. So that bug, I don't know why, but I just feel now that that's a real thing. That's a real bug.
You think it's a real physical thing?
These are a physical thing crawling around in these scenes. I think it's a real thing now.
I'm struggling to agree with you, only because I think it's the show's way of representing the kind of the corruption in their line of thought. That delusion has crept into their minds, and that the Shadow King has kind of infiltrated all these people and making them feel this certain type of way or believe this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an actual physical thing. Like, I don't think there's actually bugs around the
So you're going with the idea that maybe it's also more meta, where now that I'm believing it, it's my own delusion in my head going around like, it's real. So the one thing I can see in that I kind of agree with you is that when they showed the Admiral, like the inside his little basket head case thing, they showed the Minotaur, or that bug creature, the grown-up version of delusion. If they rip that basket off of his head, I don't think the Minotaur's in there. So I think that really is a representation of just he's the one causing this stuff, but we don't know yet if it's good or bad. We don't know his motivations.
Yeah, like why would he be doing all this to everybody? I don't know if it was actually showing that he's behind all this, the mastermind, or if it's just Patonymy, don't trust this guy, have doubts in his intentions.
But who's telling him not to trust this guy?
That's true, yeah. Guys, we're a little bit stuck right here, but tell us what you think in the comments below about the delusions and the Admiral and the tie-in between all those things, because we literally need help from you guys.
One last thing before we leave this conversation. Is it an insect or is it a chicken? And then finally, we got David's interrogation with Lenny. Right off the get-go, I felt like something's wrong. The way they just cut to him like that, and I thought, it's
just waiting.
Yeah, just waiting there in the background. I thought, is this a dream or something? I guess it's just because it was taken from Lenny's POV, and it just, the switch was so hard for me.
Yeah, it was a little surreal, and I think it goes into tying into like, it's kind of a reunion of sorts between these two. And the last time David did physically see her was in Clockworks, obviously going through a lot of stuff with his mental illness and addiction to drugs and everything like that. And so I feel like he didn't believe that she was standing right in front of him. And
testing her.
And how is she back? Like, he saw her die. He saw her in between the wall. How can this be possible, and why are you sitting in front of me?
Yeah, and to jump into that, I think, the whole pessimist, optimist thing like we got in the whole John Hamm piece, he wasn't sure what's going on yet, and then it kicks in at the very end with the conspiracy when we find out who it is.
He's a mutant with psychic powers. He's not a god. Whose body is that?
And over the course of this interrogation, we get flashbacks of David's childhood.
Yeah.
And immediately, you and I both thought,
It's gotta be Amy.
It's Amy.
It has to be. At first, I thought, oh, maybe they're just gonna have like David figure out that it's Amy, but we're not gonna get the actress coming back, because it was weird not having her in the whole entire season so far. But if you saw the opening crawl when they do the last time on Legion, which I hate, don't watch those. I would recommend for anybody, just skip forward 10 seconds before, because they're gonna give away everything. Hey, remember this character you didn't see for almost like, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes? Well, guess what? Surprise, they're gonna come back. I hate that.
A couple questions we have with this. Why did the Shadow King do this?
He's looking for his body. He doesn't know where it is yet.
I agree with you. I don't think he knows where his body is, and I think that he is trying to get a overreaction out of David.
Yeah.
And it's gonna work.
I'm coming for you.
And I think this overreaction is exactly what future Sid was warning David about.
Yeah.
What he does, or what he turns into, is going to change the future forever.
David, you're smarter than this. Come on.
It's a trap!
Now let's talk about what's going on in the desert with Farouk and Oliver. They're taking a nice drive through the desert in their Bentley, and they have a conversation about morality and basically the mutants versus the humans, and if a mutant should feel bad about killing those that are not as strong as them.
That is a complete Magneto line. Like,
It's X-Men 101, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Oliver starts thinking about Melanie. So he knows he still has a connection to the humans. He can't like leave that right now.
Yeah.
Then perhaps the idea of life and death is obscene. Wait, maybe not obscene, but irrelevant.
So life and death doesn't really matter to him, but he doesn't want to kill Melanie, obviously. He doesn't want to sacrifice her. But then he also turns around and says that he's going to kill the Shadow King. He'll kill Amal Farouk, despite Amal Farouk being this all-powerful god and much stronger than Oliver. So Oliver he's all over the place right now.
But wait, Ryan, 1 + 1
doesn't equal 2.
All right, now let's talk about that final reveal at the end with Amy. Did it work for you? For me, I saw it coming from a mile away.
Yep.
And with that, on top of the fact that we haven't had Amy in this show for a while. So when you see her come back, you're like, oh, okay, cool, it's Amy. And now she's gone. We don't even know if she's dead.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It didn't really work for me. Already in season 1, Amy wasn't the most well-developed character. I didn't see a lot of a strong bond between those two. Obviously, she, was a big part of his life. She helped him with his mental illness and his addiction to drugs. But besides that, we didn't hear much about her and David. If it would have been Sid,
you would have flipped your TV.
Yeah, then I'm throwing my TV across the room. But with Amy, it was like we saw it coming a mile away, and it just didn't really hit like it was supposed to.
And then on top of that, you got the whole sequence with this new zapper gun.
Super 8 video camera zapper gun?
Yeah, that comes out of nowhere, and they do this quick flashback of the scene where they're...
By the way, this is what happened, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. Can they do this now every single episode? They can go back and switch and turn around anything you saw from the first episode on.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It was a little bit more, and we talked about this before, style over substance. It looked cool. The vibe was on. It was really, really tense and an awesome way to end the episode. But it was just like, huh?
Yeah, weeks prior, people were saying, it's style over substance. What are you talking about? And we're like, whatever, this is great. And then the last 30 minutes are probably the only time where I'm like, okay, maybe something's a little off here.
Now let's talk about our favorite moments. Greg, what do you got?
Okay, mine has to be still, even though we didn't like how it was executed, I still love the look of that final scene. I love the old Western, No Country for Old Men vibe we got there.
Dread.
Totally. Noah Hawley's idea of the witness protection program was awesome. The windmills in the desert. They're like in the middle of nowhere. They have some of the security around them.
Just hanging out in the submarine, the donuts.
Her new husband Ben, right, different from last year. He works selling donuts in a submarine that drives around the desert. I mean, that sounds awesome. Definitely would have tried those donuts. But the whole lead up to that final moment, the tension and the terror that was created.
A good Western.
A very good Western, very, very fun and horrific, to be honest. But didn't use any, elaborate gunfight, no special effects, just quiet, tense moments. I also really enjoyed the resurrection of Lenny in the desert. Aubrey Plaza, I mean, can we just shout her out? She does an amazing job with this character. Obviously, last season, she was one of our favorite characters in the whole show. And she's just done so much with one character, but having to become like 4 or 5 different characters throughout the course of this show.
I think it was fans that got her back on there because she's all over the place now. So the producers like, we got to get her back on the show. And I love it because she's an amazing actress.
Yeah, just the physical acting that she does as she's crawling out of the grave in the middle of the desert and she's like learning how to re-walk and the sun is rising and I was just like, wow. Yeah, that's probably what a rebirth looks like.
Bow-legged.
Yeah.
Then finally, I really liked the ending with the dream that Amy was talking about, where she's like, now we are this, the machine that bleeds, the organizing principle. That is from the season premiere of this season too, so it's definitely the Vermilion she's talking about.
And now we are this, the machine that bleeds, the organizing principle.
Yeah, so I took that to be like there's a connection between her and David still, even with all the distance, that she's dreaming about things that are happening to her brother. So there is some sort of mental connection between them, or David's trying to communicate that to her. Time now to talk about our final theories, thoughts, predictions, questions. There's a whole lot of them. After episode 5, what's on your mind?
Okay, I say this every week. Here we go again. If this is a drinking game.
Wait, let me guess. Twin Peaks?
Yes. I just want to say that there's a lot going on this season where people are like, what's going on? What's this? What's this? Some of these questions are probably not going to be answered at all in the series at all. So you have to just subvert your expectations just a little bit here and just enjoy the ride.
Totally agree with you. Let's talk briefly about the next episode, episode 6. We saw the teaser for that. We're gonna show that at the end of this video. Stay here with us. We're gonna show the entire teaser coming up soon. Wow, multiple timelines, alternate realities. What do you think we're dealing with here?
So that means what? Are we dealing with 2 Davids in this timeline? Did David get jumped in the wrong timeline? Again, this leads all back to the questions of whether or not the Admiral is David.
One final bit of news we got to get to is that we're getting an extra episode of Legion this year. Chapter 19 will be the final season finale. And I don't know if this is good or bad news. Initially, I was like super excited, but is this bad news for the show overall? Does this mean bad things for season 3?
Are you talking about the ratings for season 2 so far? I'm not worried so much about a season 3 happening more than I am worried about a season 4 or anything going on.
So you're thinking way down the line here.
Well, at this point, I would say if you're a fan of this show, tell your friends, because if you really like this show, you better go ahead and tell people, because I don't know, it's coming down a lot.
Yeah, the ratings are nothing what it used to be in season 1, and I don't know, I was very much the pessimist when I heard this news, because I thought maybe they're gonna try to get one more episode in this year, try to wrap it all up as best they can, maybe even drop Professor X in there.
I think that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that extra episode is Xavier, so they can try to get people back into this show. It's getting a little too confusing for some people maybe, and it sucks because this is a great show.
Yeah, I think we both agree that just keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully the momentum just picks up at the end of this season. And if they do finish it off with the great Professor X introduction into the show, I surely hope that they get into season 3.
Also, there's this little thing you may have heard of. It's called the NBA playoffs. It's going on right now, and there are some huge games even last night, so it's kind of tough to get these kind of views right now. Give it some time.
Just find it on the FX app, get it on your DVR, tell your friends, tell your parents, tell everyone that you know, because we want this show to come back for another season. That's it for us right now. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this episode and any theories, questions, predictions that you have moving on. We can't wait to hear what you guys think.
Bye-bye.
No more pills. I can't think when I take them.
You don't want to go back to the hospital, right?
I'm a billionaire. Or homeless. Or married in the suburbs with like 2.3 kids. It's this thing, multiple worlds theory. The things we do, there's like a million possible outcomes.
It's time to take your afternoon pill. David?